Welcome back to Melly Loves Death Metal. Happy Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? I don't know what day it is. Finally back after a while here. I kind of just don't really have any content that I want to record right now. I haven't really gotten any new records in. I have a couple of things coming eventually, but most of my stuff is on pre-order right now. But I saw Dennis over at Analogue Archives posted this video yesterday, the cassette tag for 2025, obviously this year. I figured, well, that'd be fun. I'll do that. I'll record that. So another response video. He mentioned that this was started by a YouTuber I'm not familiar with, and then This Is Music posted it. So I'll link in the description the questions and then where these were posted previously. So yeah, the cassette tag. Obviously, I have a lot of cassettes, so I found this to be pretty easy to do. So let's get started. So there are two additional questions that were added on at the bottom of this. I think maybe was it This Is Music that added them. So there's 10 questions total. And the first one is, why do you still collect cassettes? So I used to collect cassettes when I was a young kid, obviously. I was too young to buy them myself. But as I got older, I was asking for them, and my parents obviously would buy them for me. And it started off with like classic rock. That was pretty much like what I grew up on. So like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, stuff like that. And then as I got older, CDs were the thing that I collected when I was young. Like that was what was in. Cassettes were pretty much gone. People weren't making them anymore. So I started recollecting cassettes about 5 or 6 years ago when I started really getting involved into the underground death metal scene more so than I had already been. I started really getting involved with like social media and Instagram, Facebook, and like diving into these newer death metal labels because I was very stereotypical, only listened to like 90s death metal for a very, very long time, and I only followed the bands that I knew that were releasing new albums, and I didn't really dive into the underground like at all until about 5 years ago when I started getting heavily involved with like the vinyl community on Instagram and stuff like that. And they're posting cassettes and like $20 spin and Dark Descent Records and all of them. People who were vinyl collectors that I followed and became friends with were also collecting cassettes, and so then I started doing it too but it came as more of like a just simply like a collecting thing, like Pokemon cards. Like I just collected them and put them on my shelf and didn't play them because I didn't have a cassette player, and it was just for like show. And then I finally bought a cassette player. Inherited my dad's old one, which is back there. So I have two cassette decks just in case this one finally craps out. I have another one that I bought off of eBay, and now I collect them, and I love collecting them. I think cassettes are probably my favorite thing to buy aside from vinyl. It's the nostalgia. I just like how the little, like just the way they feel. I don't know, and just there's like the whole aesthetic of it and just everything like that. So yeah, I mean, that's why. Also, they're cheap. So if I'm not in the mood for spending $40 on a vinyl record and they've got an $8 cassette for the same album, I'll probably just get the cassette. So there's always that economical solution. So yeah. Number 2, show your favorite artist band on cassette. So I pulled a couple. It was hard to just pick one. So everybody knows how much I absolutely love Cannibal Corpse, so I have every single one of their albums on cassette. These are recent reissues that were put out by Hell's Headbangers that I showed off not too long ago. And then I also have Corpse Gristles and everything. Like people have reissued these several times. So I've got Cannibal Corpse. Mortician is one of my favorite death metal bands. I've got their demo from 1990 here. This was a recent reissue that they put out. Was it Primitive Recordings? I think that's what the Mortician label is out in Vegas. So I picked this up when they released this like a couple years ago. This is one of my favorite cassettes too. I actually have this on a CD and stuff like that, but just the fact that they reissued this and it looks pretty cool. So yeah. And then finally, Immolation. Everybody knows I love Immolation. So these are the Corpse Crystal reissues that I've shown off on here. within the last couple of years. This was from the box set that they reissued. So yeah, Immolation Here and After. So those are some of my favorite bands that I pulled. I probably could have pulled about 5 or 6 more to show, but those are some of my, favorite death metal bands. Show number 3, show the best sounding cassette. So this was really hard because most, if not all, of my cassettes sound amazing. They all sound really good. I've only gotten a few duds with over the last 5 years where the sound was pretty terrible, or there was some sort of a defect where it faded in and out and stuff like that. But that rarely ever happens. Like maybe twice in the last 5 years I've had that issue. But I was listening to this the other day and I was thinking about how fucking awesome this album was, as well as it sounded phenomenal. I have a headset that I can plug into my stereo, and if I want to listen to music late at night while my kids are sleeping, or just if I want to drown out the noise because it's always loud here when they're home, and just hear my music and not have to blast my stereo, I'll put this on. So I had this playing the other day, the new Festergore album, Constellations of Endless Blight, which is on Iron Fortress Records, and this came out not too long ago. I was playing this the other day because this is a really good album. I actually wish I had talked about this more in my year-end list, but I've been playing it quite a bit over the last several weeks, and just absolutely falling in love with it. I was thinking about how crushing and just awesome this album sounded on cassette. I don't have it on any other media, so yeah, I thought this sounded awesome. So if you haven't heard this yet, check this out. This is a very, very good album. I'm pretty sure there's still copies available. Iron Fortress is my favorite label right now. I pretty much buy from him at least once every 2 weeks or so. I have another big package coming soon, so I'm excited about it. So yeah, this is it sounded phenomenal. And every cassette that I've ever gotten from Iron Fortress sounds awesome. So yeah, this sounds crushing, and I've been obsessed with that album. I'll link it in the description. I talked about it in a couple of videos already, but I'll link it in the description so that way you guys can check it out if you haven't heard it yet. So number 4, what is your biggest cassette find? So yeah, I don't have many of these because I just started collecting cassettes again within the last 5 years. I used to have a bunch of these things on CD and stuff, and I did used to have several of tape trader, old school 90s, death metal tape trader tapes that I used to have in my collection a long time ago. I just collected them at shows and stuff like that, but never played them because I didn't have a cassette player. And then recently, got rid of them, and now that I'm back into collecting again. So one of my really close friends who lives out in Arizona, his name is Kylie, had a huge cassette tape collection, huge, massive, probably pretty close to, some of the YouTubers that I've seen where they have massive collections. And he recently pretty much dished them all off, and he gave me a lot of them. And he sold a lot too as well. And he sent me a spreadsheet of what he had in regards to death metal, because most of his cassettes were more like rock and stuff like that, and his death metal was a little bit leaner because he started collecting death metal later in his life, and it was mostly CDs and stuff like that. So I saw on the Excel sheet that he sent me, and I was like, yo, I want these 2 cassettes. Send them to me. I don't care if they're OGs or what, but this is these are some of my all-time favorite demos. And this was 4 years ago. So I've had these for a little while now. And it was the Crematory demos. So these are not obviously OGs, but they were some sort of tape trading ones that he got back forever ago when he was collecting these. And they're pretty much, they're just blank tapes. There's nothing printed on the tapes, no stickers or anything like that. Don't even know what kind of tapes they are. But they sound phenomenal. He says he got them from, I don't remember. He used to work, he was an A&R person, and did a bunch of stuff for Metal Blade and stuff like that way back in the day. One of his first jobs out of college, because he went to school for communications and media and stuff like that. Anyway, somebody dubbed these, and he bought them for $4 or something like that. Anyway, I thought they were cool. Obviously they're not worth shit, and they're not originals, but these were some 2 demos that I've always wanted, especially on cassette. So I got these for him. I mean, they were free. He didn't even sell them to me because, like, again, they're not OGs. If they were OGs, obviously I would have given him a lot of money for it, but I thought that was a cool little find. It's not like something I found in the store, but that was just what I thought was kind of cool. Again, I just started collecting tapes not that long ago. Like, this is not like Dennis from Analogue Archives and stuff like that, where he just has these and he's like, oh yeah, the band gave it to me and stuff like that. Like, I don't have a collection like that. But so yeah. Number 5 is show a mixtape. So I have a mixtape here that Simon from Explosive Action made me. It's called Terror Australis. It has a bunch of awesome bands on here. He sent this to me last year and I showed it off. It's got bands like Abermelon and Neuropath and all these awesome bands from Australia. So it's a really cool mixtape that he made me. And then Iron Fortress again puts out these Sounds of the Septic Fog, which is like a compilation tape or a mixtape of songs. And I pulled the first one. This is the EP1. And this has a ton of stuff on here. It's got, let's see, Morgue Design here, Cell Intruder, Primal Scourge, Black Dust, like some, most bands that were released their stuff on Iron Fortress. So kind of like an album sampler mixtape. So yeah, so I don't have a whole lot of mixtapes. I know I have, actually now that I think about it, I know I have a couple that I need to dig out of my box that I kept from when I was a kid, like, or just people dubbed me mixtapes and stuff like that over the past couple of years, but I don't have them up there. They're like in a box still. So number 6, show your best live cassette. So I don't collect live music. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I have several like comps with live shows on it and like box sets that come with live stuff for like vinyls and CDs. But when it comes to tapes, I don't buy live ones. So what I did is I pulled all the new Impetigo tapes that came in my box set that I showed off a couple of like last week, because some of these are like live rehearsals. So here's Dismembered Penis Session Rehearsal from 1987. So I figured, that counts again. And then there's some demos that are obviously just recorded live. It sounds like they're just like in a basement. So yeah, I pulled those. Again, I don't really collect live cassettes, so figured close enough for that. Okay, number 7, show cassette box tape, or Jesus Christ, show cassette box set. So yeah, I have several videos on my channel of box sets I showed off for cassettes, and the ones I just pulled because they were just right there. The Cannibal Corpse one that Corpse Crystal put out last year. I'm not gonna do a whole unboxing of this, but I showed this off in a video. It's the first 4 Chris Barnes era tapes that came in this awesome box. They're not in the box anymore. They're actually on my shelf, but this is pretty cool. I was pumped about this. Paul sent this to me from Corpse Crystal, so shout out to him. I'm pretty sure these are sold out now. I don't think that they're in stock anymore. I might be wrong about that, so shoot over to Corpse Crystal. And then I also have this Darkness Shall Rise Productions Desolatory. Is that how you say their name? I always forget. Like the Demos era box set. I showed this off in a video not that long ago. The tapes are actually sitting on my shelf, but it comes with like a pin and a really awesome book, and there's like postcards and stuff like that. So yeah, I also have the Immortal box set, the Dissection cassette box set, like all of those Darkness Shall Rise production ones. They're actually in my closet. I need to get more shelving to display all of these things that I have. My room is just not big enough, and when you collect physical media like this, space becomes an issue when you start getting into hundreds and hundreds of things that you're collecting for this. So anyway, number 8, show a portable or any cassette player. So you guys can see my, what the hell is that one again? A JVC dual cassette deck I've had. That's from like the 90s. Then I also have this little portable one that I got off Amazon not that long ago. It is a cassette and a CD, and this is for my porch. Oh, there's a CD in there. Oh shit. This is for my porch that I use when I'm sitting outside, having a nice beer in the nice Florida weather. So yeah, that's my portable cassette player. That's about it. I have another cassette deck that is in my closet. It's a Pioneer one that I bought off of eBay. That's my dad's old one. And yeah, so then now the additional questions that were added on to this number 9: show a cassette with a cool packaging and one with a cool shell. So the coolest packaging ones are these VHS cassette tape boxes. This is the latest one from Putridarium, from Night Terror Records, for the new Putridarium album. I showed this off, I don't remember, in a video like last week. Inside it comes with fake maggots, a pin, and then the actual cassette sits in there. So I now have several of these VHS cassette tape boxes, and I'm just completely hooked on buying them. I am excited to see what ones Iron Fortress is releasing this year, because he mentioned that there's going to be several more coming. And I kind of hope other labels start doing this again. I know that Dismal Fate has a Mortuary Ghoul one right now, but I just can't get it. It's too expensive, shipping and stuff like that. But yeah, so this is pretty cool. I love these. And then also a little bit of a throwback here for the cool like case. This Biohazard album was pretty cool back when it was released. Like, you didn't see it, too many of these like this. State of the World Address. This is an OG copy. Fluorescent orange shell. I actually walked into a store in St. Petersburg called Planet Retro, and about 3 years ago, and my brother used to have this tape, and I remember being obsessed with it just because of the color of it. And I walked in and I saw it on the shelf and was like, holy shit. I'm not a huge Biohazard fan, but just nostalgia, and my brother had that, and I remember always wanting it just because of how cool it looked. So I bought it. It was on, he had it for like $11, and I grabbed it. So yeah, I remember just thinking how awesome this was and how cool it looked, and like seeing it in my brother's cassette tape collection back when I was really young, and thinking how awesome it looks. So I actually just listened to it. It sounds phenomenal. It sounds like it's brand new. So yeah. Okay. And then finally, the last question: show a cassette tape that is special to you. So that is was a tough one for me, because most of my cassettes I like bought myself, or like record labels and stuff like that sent them to me. The one that Simon sent me obviously is special. Like, this was pretty cool. I like when people does stuff like that. And yeah, so I don't know, but there is one in my collection that I actually bought. I didn't buy, sorry. Jesus Christ, I'm like having a hard time talking right now. This one was super special. I randomly was just talking to a close friend of mine about how I was trying to finish off my Hemorrhage collection. I have like 2 or 3 splits that I still haven't gotten yet on 7-inch, and then most of them are on CD, and then Relapse helped out and reissued a couple things, so I was able to snag those. But I mentioned that I really wanted Grotesque Embryopology or whatever on cassette, even though I have it on like a comp already. And he messaged me and said, hey, I'm sending you a package. I had this in my collection. Pretty sure it's just a Tape Trader copy, but I don't need it. I never listened to it. I know you're trying to collect it. And he sent me the Hemorrhage cassette tape that I mentioned that I was looking for. So pretty cool. I mean, it's just a blank tape, but I thought that was awesome. This is one of a vinyl community friend of mine on Instagram. He goes by the name, his name is Alex, but blanking on his Instagram name. I don't even know if he's not really active on there anymore. We just chat most of the time. But anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. He was like, yeah, it's yours. Go ahead, take it. So then in return, I sent him a bunch of of stuff that I had that I knew he would want, like CDs and stuff like that. I had to return the favor, so I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, this is like one of my favorite cassettes now. These cassettes that are just not OGs, but they're like tape trader cassettes. I have so many of them that I've gotten over the years within trades, or I just saw them. People like posted their stuff, like cassettes collections that they had up for sale, and I snagged them. Like these are my favorites. I mean, yeah, I love buying cassettes and having these awesome new ones, but these ones are just awesome. They're kind of like relics that are good for the collection. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty standard Xerox copied. But, yeah, awesome stuff. So, yeah, that's it. That is my cassette tag for 2025. I will put all the questions in the comments. I don't know how much steam this has gotten on Instagram or on YouTube yet. I've seen like 2 or 3 people do a video so far. So yeah, if you're a cassette collector, this is for you. That's all that I have, and I will see you guys in the next one.